What happens when you believe in someone who believes their own lie?
I started to notice some problems.
And then some select cases, they would be pressured to run patient samples anyway, even though we knew that the test wasn't functioning properly.
It's almost immediately a red flag, and
And the results were off by sometimes more than 300%.
She dropped out of Stanford at 19. She spoke in a deep voice, and she wore black turtlenecks while looking into the cameras like she could see into the future.
What happens when you work to change things, and first they think you're crazy, then they fight you, and then all of a sudden you change the world.
And for a moment, we believed she could. Her name was Elizabeth Holmes. She built a $9 billion company on one promise. One drop of blood, hundreds of tests, total revolution. But behind the sleek machines and tech jargon, there was no miracle. Just broken machines, silenced employees, and a lie too big to confess. This isn't just a business story. This is betrayal, deception, and collapse. This is the story of Theranos, the $9 billion lie. Elizabeth Holmes was raised on ambition. By high school, she was studying Mandarin and writing to the CEO of Nokia. At Stanford, she told professors she wanted to build something great. But this wasn't about money. It was about legacy. She had the charm, the focus, and the obsession. And the idea? It was a sleek box that could run hundreds of blood tests using just a finger prick. No needles, no jabs, just answers. It was beautiful, but it was impossible. And she didn't care. She named it Theranos, a mix of therapy and diagnosis. Investors swooned and the media adored her. The black turtleneck became a costume. The comparisons to Steve Jobs weren't subtle, they were engineered. And the Edison machine? It was revolutionary, or so she said. Behind the stage lights and TED Talks, no one saw the truth. The box didn't work. It never worked. But money kept pouring in. Investors included Rupert Murdoch, Betsy DeVos, and the Walton family. An initial finance round raised $700 million, giving the corporate valuation of $9 billion. And not one real demo. Everyone wanted to believe her, because she made them believe in something bigger than themselves.
I wanted to do something with my life that people thought was impossible before. We're living in a country in which it's illegal in many states for people to even get access to their own health information. This summer, the FDA cleared one of our first finger stick tests that replaces the need for people to have big vials of blood taken from their arm.
Theranos HQ was like a locked fortress. Employees were divided, secrets compartmentalized. If you asked too many questions, you were fired or sued. People worked long hours under heavy surveillance. There was no transparency and staff were not permitted to collaborate, and there was no clarity behind what staff were doing.
In some select cases, they would be pressured to run patient samples anyway, even though we knew that the test wasn't functioning properly. And then there was an incident where the CLIA inspectors came to inspect the laboratory, but they essentially locked the door to the room that had all the Theranos devices in.
Patients were getting inconsistent test results. Blood samples were being diluted. In some cases, machines were replaced entirely with traditional lab equipment. But Holmes kept smiling. She continued to appear on magazine covers and kept appearing on interviews talking about saving lives. In reality, lives were being endangered, and no one, not even her own board, knew what was actually going on inside the lab. Inside the machine of Theranos, a few people saw through the cracks. First, there was Tyler Schultz, the grandson of board member George Schultz. He was young, bright, and loyal, until he saw patient data being manipulated. And when he tried to speak up, he was threatened, while his family turned against him. Next, Erica Chung was an employee who was told to ignore failing quality control checks. They both decided this was too much and risked everything. They turned to journalist John Carreyrou, who was with the Wall Street Journal. They met in secret, handing over documents and sharing their inside knowledge of what was really going on. And in 2015, the story broke. The house of cards began to fall. Suddenly, everyone had questions. The FDA launched an investigation. Walgreens and Safeway cut ties. The military denied any use of Theranos technology. And the patients? Well, they were the real victims. One was told she had HIV. She wasn't even positive. Another said her results almost led to a miscarriage. Theranos collapsed in public. Its glamorous CEO now stood behind lawyers and publicists. But still, Holmes denied everything. She said the press misunderstood, while remaining firm in her view that the technology worked. Only now, she was saying that it was just not quite ready. It wasn't fraud, she said. It was belief.
I know what we've built, and I know what we've created, and I know what it means to people, and it is a change that needs to happen in the world.
In 2018, Elizabeth Holmes was indicted on 9 counts of wire fraud. By 2022, while she was pregnant, she went on trial. Throughout the case, she maintained her usual polished, calm demeanor. She testified in her own defense. While giving evidence, she blamed others, deflected arguments against her and Theranos, and she continued to speak of dreams.
She was on the stand over the course of 7 days, and while she was being questioned by her own attorneys, the defense, her story was very much the one of her origin, a 19-year-old who dropped out of Stanford. She was painted as a true believer.
But the jury saw through her. Elizabeth Holmes was convicted on 4 counts. In 2023, she was sentenced to 11 years in federal prison, from billionaire to inmate.
Elizabeth Holmes taking her last steps of freedom, looking back as her partner and parents wave goodbye and blow kisses her way.
There goes Elizabeth Holmes.
Holmes reporting for her 11-year sentence after being found guilty last January of 4 counts of wire fraud in connection to the now infamous blood testing scam in her company.
Elizabeth Holmes didn't steal any money. She stole something bigger: trust. She convinced the world she was a genius, a savior and a disruptor. But behind the turtleneck, there was just a woman, one who wanted to be great so badly, she forgot how to be good. And now she stares at concrete walls, and in the mirror, she still sees the visionary, while the rest of us see the lie. Did this story stun you? Why not share it with someone who you think could enjoy it as well? And let us know in the comments if you think you might have believed Elizabeth's story when you heard it for the first time. Why not also subscribe so you can get more of these as we publish them? It's been great having you along for the journey. We hope to see you next time. Until then, cheers.